Good day, everyone. This is Sir Jasper, and we are now about to discuss another topic. Welcome, Grade 7 learners. Let us start our year 2022 with a smile. And now, here is our lesson for today. For the most essential learning competency or MEL, analyze relationships presented in analogies. And for now, our week 6 lesson is all about analogy. When we say analogy, it is comparing objects or ideas, wherein it is a common practice, especially when writing. We tend to compare objects or ideas. We're using comparing as description. While there are many types of comparisons that one can make through usual figures of speech like simile and metaphor, there are also literary techniques or devices that can show and provide a more detailed comparison of things and ideas. One example of these techniques is the use of analogy. An analogy is a literary technique that involves comparison of how two things are alike, but with the ultimate goal of making a point about this comparison. Although often quite similar or related with simile and metaphor, an analogy is not a figure of speech. It is a rhetorical device used to make rational arguments and support ideas by showing connections and comparisons between unlike things. It is usually unlike when it comes to the analogy. The main function of analogy is not just to show, but also to explain or justify. Meanwhile, figures of speech like simile or metaphor only aim to show without providing clear descriptions or explanation. As such, analogy is more complex in nature than figures of speech. When its function is to explain or justify, it means the term itself has its meaning for the other. That's how analogy works. Take a look at how simile, metaphor, and analogy differ from each other through these examples. Simile: life is like a tree. Metaphor: life is a tree. An analogy: life is just like a tree. The main differences are this one. Okay? In simile, they use like. In metaphor, there is no words such as like or as because it's direct. Okay? Then, in analogy, we have this just like a tree. Okay. What does it mean? It starts from a seedling, which is the life, that grows into a full-grown tree that has trunk and branches that make itself strong and bears wonderful fruits. We are comparing life into a seedling wherein it began into a small one up until it grows wherein it bears fruits. That's how analogy works in this example. Generally, there are two types of analogies commonly employed in writing. Number one, analogies that identify identical relationships. This type of analogy takes the form A is to B as C is to D and is often used to directly illustrate similar relationships between two pairs of words, often for the purpose of logical argument. We have this example. English is to language, and mathematics is to arithmetic. It means English is a language. Okay, for example, what we speak right now, it's a language. We use English as a language. And here, mathematics is to arithmetic. When we say mathematics, it is the subject, while arithmetic is one of the topics in mathematics. But here, the one type is smaller than the other one. The example vividly shows the connection between English and language and mathematics and arithmetic, as what I discussed earlier. English is basically a subject that focuses on language. English is basically a subject that focuses on language, while mathematics deals primarily with arithmetic or numbers. Analogies that identify shared abstraction. This form of analogy compares two things or concepts that are technically unrelated in order to establish a connection between a characteristic that they share. This type is common and useful in writing because it can make abstract ideas and concepts more concrete. For example, what soldiers do for the country, white blood cells do inside the body. They are focusing on the function. The soldiers are doing great things to our country or to a country, while white blood cells has function inside our body. In the given example, the abstract concept of how white blood cells function in the body is made clear by explaining that they protect everything inside, like how soldiers perform their sworn duty to protect their country, as what I've said earlier. In writing, analogies play the function of making abstract concepts more concrete, adding depth and feeling to an image, and describing and making a point to establish an argument. Did you understand our lesson? I hope you understood it. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Again, this is Sir Jasper. See you again for our next lesson.